Good morning. So, we are in the chapter number 2 talking about requirement engineering, software requirement specification, SRS, functional, non functional requirements, and the related aspect of requirement specification that we will get into. See, in the last class, this is where we stopped. We said that software product development is a complex job. It is a complex job because right, it is a voluminous work. Right, size is very large in today's context, and it involves a lot of things about the changes in the business requirement, changes in technical requirement, changes in user requirements, and there are different items associated with the product, something like a project plan, software models, test plans, code, okay, modules, components, objects that are repository available, other documents like a technical manual, user manual, document, design documents, requirement documents, test procedures documents, right? There are many aspects involved in that one. So managing all these things is a complex job. We don't say that we can't do it, but okay, managing right is a okay, difficult task, and relating one, okay, tracing one with other things, connectivity and all, that's another important issue for that. That's why configuration management, project coordination, ICT tools use of that plays a very important role in all these aspects. This is where we are stopped. Okay, students, do you have any questions based on whatever the learning that we have done till yesterday in the last class, until last class? If you have any question, you can put it in a chat box, and Ashish will be reading those questions anytime by interrupting me. Right? If there are no okay, interruption, I assume that things are okay and I can get into. You can refer the videos which are put in a Google Class. Also, you can go through that. It is a non-edited video. Whatever the noise, whatever the real okay scenario is there, as it is being put into that. Right? You can say it. And we were also talking about what is the role of a system analyst. The role of the system analyst is to understand, grasp the problem in terms of what is the problem, okay, why it is it important to solve the problem, what all the possible solutions, okay, what exactly are the data input to the system, what are kind of reports it generates, what all the complexity involved, what are the constraints in which we have to work, what are kind of software and hardware that is required, platform and the situations and all, what kind of an interface that we have, right? All these things, the system analysts need to have a concept we call as a business analyst, right? There are different terms that is being used and all. And also we told in the last class that one, why it is a difficult one. It is a difficult, right? Because many times stakeholder they themselves don't know about what they wanted from a system, right? That also we have discussed in the last class. And also okay, along with that, the stakeholders express the requirement which you fail to capture because they use a natural language, right? This then different stakeholders have a different requirement, political factors, economic and business environment factors that will also influence all these things, right? So understanding stakeholders requirement, okay, you need to look into all these aspects, right? And also probably Ashish, you might have recorded a question saying that one, list and explain the various issues connected with a requirement collection, right? So you need to look into these aspects, right? Then when we talk about the stakeholder, okay, as a system analyst you need to interact with the stakeholder. The stakeholder, okay, they range from okay, end user, okay, to anybody, okay, including the statutory bodies, okay, governing okay, your product installation, your managers, different end users, different section in charges where people will be using, all they constitute stakeholders. Anybody who is directly or indirectly connected with this, they all become okay stakeholder. Please look into that, the cursor here, okay, including okay regulators who certify the acceptability of the system. So you cannot release a system okay as it is like that. You need to take an approval from different statutory bodies. it could be law connected with that one, it could be municipal corporations, it could be anybody, right? Anybody, okay, connected with that, depending on what kind of product that you are releasing in the market, right? It could be from ITBT, okay, office, okay, whatever it is, right? So this is, you people have to remember all these things. Then the another important thing we spoke and we stopped is about what is a requirement. The IEEE defines. When IEEE defines, IEEE is something a godfather for everyone. Okay, definition means every word, every comma, okay, every space here they go as it is. It is not somebody's explanation, right? Okay, it will be written as it is. So IEEE defines a requirement as a condition of capability needed by the user to solve a problem or achieve the objective of a user, is a condition of capability, right? Or and it is a condition or the capability that must be met or possessed by a system to satisfy a contract, standard, specification, or other formally imposed document. Please look into that. Okay, as a part of the requirement, now let's go from the bottom to top. I may say that one, when you develop a product, you are supposed to give me a technical manual, user manual, design manual, requirements, document and all. That is also a requirement. But what kind of requirement? We said, okay, that one requirements are of two type. One is functional, other one is non-functional. We'll work on that. Identifying functional, non-functional, categorizing them, describing them in, okay, in a proper format. Okay, that is the most important, okay, aspect. In your fourth semester introductory project, you have gone through the ideation phase and you are presented in a particular format. But that is not sufficient here, right? So, Ashish, you can note down what is requirement as per IEEE definition, right? So go through that. Probably could be for 1 mark. It's a condition. That's all. Condition to be met by the user, or condition or the capability that must be met by the system. Got it? Whatever it is. Okay. So with this understanding of that, we will proceed. Right? Now look at that. What is software requirement specification? It is not system requirement specification. Many times people get confused. System requirements will say, software requirement will say. Software and system both are different, right? But here we talk about, okay, software requirements, right? Now look at the certain properties. SRS, software requirement specification, would lack like a agreement between, right, client and a supplier. There are many legal issues that many, okay, organizations have come into, okay, gone into and paid penalties and all. So when you are writing a software requirement specification, you should be very careful about that. It's an agreement copy. What is required and what you are going to produce, and what is required, there has to be clarity about that. It should be free from ambiguity. There should not be any inconsistency. There should not be any omissions and all. Whoever is omitting that one, whoever, okay, whenever you write anything ambiguous and all, okay, both the parties have to pay the penalty depending on, okay, who is at the faulty in while writing this, right? SRS provides a reference for validation. I told you two important aspects. One is verification, other one is validation. When you develop a product, finally, a client or the end user should certify that this is okay, right? How do they do? It is against this SRS. This they do. It is called validation. Okay, approving product features against, okay, compliance with requirement specification. This is most important thing, right? Now, the SRS is a prerequisite to high quality software, because look at that, more clarity, more detailed things, more precise, more accurate requirements. If you write it, okay, you are going to get a product much better. Please understand this, right? Then look at that, more clarity, free and clarity, better quality. What is a Ashish, you can note down. Okay, what are the, okay, quality parameter of requirement software requirement specification? Okay, list and explain with example. So the quality of the requirement specification, software requirement specification is, right, report free from four important aspects. One is omission, right? Then free from conflict, then free from ambiguity, right? Okay, these aspect it should be free from that, which already we have seen in our one of the document. Hope we will go back and you will collect. It should be free from omission. It should be free from incorrect facts, right? It should be free from inconsistency, right? Hope you people all understand some of the aspect of what is required you omit, because your okay, analysis, your interaction with the customer is very poor. Incorrect fact, you whatever the statement you write it, they are incorrect. The client may not agree. I didn't say about this, right? Got it. Maybe issue all the, I mean, issue the insurance policy for all the people whose age is greater or equal to 18. I did not say greater or equal to 18. It is all those, okay, who have crossed 18 years. For them, it is to be given, not for 18 years. Right? I didn't say that one. So you need to record, okay, minutes of meeting of all and take a signature from, okay, from all the party who have attended that meeting. It is not to prove that one that it is correct, incorrect, and all, but it is to agree upon that what is required so that high quality documents, high quality product can be produced out of all your interactions. Please remember this. Inconsistency. What is required in one section you written and what is required in other section of the report, they contradict with each other. Right? For example, okay, award the grade E, okay, for marks between this and this. It says at one place. In other place, right, it says that one E grade definition is altogether different. When they do contact with each, I mean contradict with each other, how do you okay go for the design and development? Inconsistency in your own report, right? Then look at the ambiguity, right? I told you best example is, right, when I press the submit button, I should get the response quickly. Now look at that example, best example for ambiguity. What do you mean by quick? It is not correct, right? As an analyst, you need to state very precisely something like that. The response should be within a 3 seconds after pressing submit button, or within 3 minutes, or within 3 hours, whatever that is there, right? So you need to be very precise, right? These are the four important factors that decides the quality of requirement specification. List and explain with example the various factors that influence quality of requirements, software requirement specification. List and explain with example, right? Please remember examples are more important here. And you need not give an example always from the book. Remember that. Correct. So, Ashish, I'm audible. Ashish, I'm audible.
Ye- Yes,
Yeah,
yes, you
yeah,
are.
yeah. That's good. That's good. Right. Thus, these are the four important factors of that decides the quality of requirement specification. Right. Okay, I'll keep moving. Already, this I have referred it. This one. Here we are. We talk about the high quality SRS reduces the development cost. Why? Because I'm very precise. I'm accurate. I'm not omitted anything. There is no inconsistency at all. Then whatever okay, I develop it, it is what is expected, okay, for, I mean, by the end user. So development cost will be, okay, reduces. Otherwise what happens, I did not say, and I say that when you said it, and I have to do the changes, and unnecessary I have to pay the penalty for all these things in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of delayed submissions and all. Please understand all these things, right? So theoretical things you need to correlate with the work and try to make an understanding, develop an understanding, right? So the requirement process, problem analysis, product description, you need to validate, and validated SRS will get emerged from that. What is validated SRS? Validated is validated by a client or the end user, a representative of end user who is authorized to validate that, and also your team. Both the parties will put a signature saying that this is a valid requirement specification, software requirement specification, so that okay, there won't be any legal issues later. I said, I didn't say. Conflict. Okay, I don't agree with the product because I didn't say this. And whatever I said, you didn't do that. That kind of conflict do not arise later stage. So you have to agree upon that, okay, formally and put a signature on the document, right? And look at that. On the top of that, the desirable characteristics of an SRS, right? I told you about that. What are the quality parameter? They are nothing but desirable characteristics of a requirement. What are those things? I said it. I said, right? It should be free from omission, free from incorrect fact, free from inconsistency, free from ambiguity. And I gave an example for each one of that. But now look at that, the other author, right? How do they perceive the desirable characteristics of an SRS? Probably black and white is from your textbook, right? Now look at that. They should be correct. They should be complete. They should be unambiguous. They should be verifiable. They should be consistent. They should be ranked for importance, okay, and or stability. Oh, now requirements we rank for importance, so that important things we try to develop first for that purpose. It's unambiguous, fine. It's a verifiable. I should run a product and say that one I give this input and I produce output, so that is a verifiable. Every requirement I should able to trace it to the code or the design and verify it, and that's why it is a test cases, right? Simple example for a quadratic equation is give a equal to 0, b equal to 0, c equal to 0. Not a quadratic equation, linear or any equivalent. Is one of the test case. What is the test case? It is a case. It is a situation for a given input which will which will produce a predefined output, right? Understood. What all the predefined output, what are for which you have a input for the quadratic equation. Predefined output is it is not a quadratic equation. Second one is a quadratic equation. Solutions are x1 and x2, right? Equal. Solutions are different. Solutions are imaginary. These are the four possible output that you get it, and accordingly the input. So this input and output combination described in a proper format we call as a test case. What all the possible situation, possible different output a product will produce. Simple. Got it. Now look at the login. Login. When you log in, you have got username and password. Assume this. So what all the possible scene? What all the possible test cases? Test case is nothing but you provide input, defined input to check the defined characteristics of a product, right? What all the product characteristics you check so that a product failure properties for login. There are two things. One is username, other one is password. So username is correct, password is correct. This is the one main flow, basic flow. System is correct. Second alternative is that username is correct, password is incorrect. Third one is username is wrong, password is correct. Right? Both are wrong. Right? In all this four scenario, right, you need to prepare input, provide it, whether the desired output the product will produce it or not. There are four cases, test cases. Are you getting it? So in that way, it is a verifiable. When you verify that one, right, any test, any okay thing you take it, okay, it should you should have a test case. You should show the code. You should show the design. Okay, you trace all these things, connect it, and say that one this particular requirement has been verified, and that is a role. Okay, that is to be done. Okay, when you are validating the product against, right, the software requirement specification. So are you clear about these terms? List and explain the desirable characteristics of a good SRS. Note down, Ashish. List and explain the desirable. List and explain with example. Please remember, theoretically writing this, you will not get a mark, sir. Please remember, question. List and explain with example the desirable characteristics of a good SRS. In this, listing is 2 mark. Right? Explaining with example is 8 mark. And example is in that Example is out of 8 mark, 6 marks is for examples and explanation. And if you don't write example, simply explain, you get 2 marks. So simply, if you are bookish and write list and explaining, will get a 50% of the marks. Remaining 50% of the marks, okay, are meant for how well scenario you create, example you give it. Right? I gave an example for verifiable. I gave an example for consistent. There I said inconsistent. Got it? Two different information, they conflict with each other. Got it? What if you write only this, you get only 50% of the marks put together if every explanation is correct. So prepare for placement. Right? If at all, by okay, your good luck if you are prepared. Right? If you're not prepared for your bad luck. If it is on software requirements, okay, if the interaction in a placement, technical interview is on your project, and if people ask you, have you written software requirement specification? And in that, if at all people get into the deep, to your luck, to your bad luck, depending on what favors you, what doesn't favor you. And if people ask you this, maybe you may get it, may not be you get it. Right? That's right. If you get a question on this, then you can play better because you know this, you have done this. And one of the assignment, okay, is one of the assignment, let's get into that here. Where is that assignment in um, mm, yeah, look into assignment number 8. Quickly do it. See here, right? And prepare SRS for your academic project of 5th and 6th semester. It's a group work, single report per group, but every member will be uploading the same report. Individual submission of the report in a Google class. Refer learning materials that I have put it here. Lot of learning materials I have put it here. Please understand this. Right? So, have you understood this? Just a minute. Right. Okay. Now I'll keep moving to the next one. Right. Uh, Parts of an SRS document. Any question? Somebody?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Sir, just now you showed the assignment, no, sir? That is related to software requirement specification or system requirement specification?
Okay. Now look into that. What is the project that you are doing? What is the project you are doing? Right? It is everything. If you are hardware and software, everything, okay, take it as a system requirement specification. If it is purely a software, you get into the software requirement specification. Okay, is it clear for you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's good. And I wanted the people to keep on asking a question, and nothing wrong asking that one. Give example, give example. That is a learning. Got it? Right? Okay. Now I told you that two important aspect. Now look at that. This is the product. This is the software. This is the system you are going to produce. When I say about the test cases, all possible input, right? What all possible input you can give to your system, and what all the possible output you get it. And test case one could be. Test case one could be. I'll change the color. Just 1 minute. Uh, I will mute my.
Sir, we can't hear you, sir.
Say muted, sir.
Yeah. Sorry for the disturbance. There was an important call from one of the student. Okay, that is a noise for you. Noise either created by me to you or you to me. Both are noise only. But that is a real time classes. Okay, let's get into. Now look at the. I told you about the. Okay, this all input giving producing an output. Now when I talk about the test case, right? I use a color. I told you there. I stopped. Different color I use. 1 minute. Ink color I use blue color. See here, right? 1 minute. I use pen, right? Now look at that. I'll say that one it is a test case. Oh, red color only it has come. Test case number one, right? This test case number one will take this particular input and will try to produce this particular output. This is test case number one. The test case number two could be, let me use different color, ink color, right? This particular test case may use this input I2 and it may produce this output O2. So when you design a test case, you should know what all the possible inputs you provide to the system. What all the possibility output it produce. You should have it before the code is being written. And these are called, there are two types of testing that we do. One is called black box testing, black box. Other one is white box or glass box. When I say black box, there is nothing inside, you don't know. When I say white box, everything is known inside. So I don't know what is the code that is being written here. I develop a design and test cases at the design phase before the code is being generated, prepared, written. I call it as a black box because they are all done based on the requirements given here. And the another important thing is when you write a code, right? When you write a code, right? Look at the purple color. When you write a code here, the code you use if then else, you use a for loop, testing all if then else, for loop, your declarations are the right, switch statement, etc. When a code is available, the code is made known and the code is checked. That is called white box testing. That we will see it in the last but one chapter. Probably the fourth chapter we will see it. Right, this. So you people have to understand this. And functional requirements and non-functional requirements are the two important thing, properties, parts of SRS document. Right? Now, what is functional, what is non-functional? For example, look at that. I'll give an example, human body, right? The human body has an ability to walk, right? This is one of the functional requirement because body will walk. This is nothing but functionality of the body. And all functionality we call as a use cases. Remember, Ashish, note down, what is a use case? What is the use case? Right? Explain with the example. What is use case? Explain with the example. Right? So use cases are nothing but the functionality of the system which you are thinking. For example, if you consider a bank, you go there, a software is there, it allows you to credit, it allows you to debit, it allows you to see the balance, it allows you to transfer money from one account to other account. Okay, credit, debit, see balance, transfer, these are all functionality that software provides you and they are called use cases. Got it? So they are functionality which you can see it, right? All functionality functions are the services provided by that system we call functional requirements. Then what are the non-functional requirements? The services, how any constraint on the service, right? Or any platform issues or any standard to be followed, they are called non-functional. For example, you should come with ID card is a non-functional requirement, constraint. You should walk. Now I said walking is a functional requirement, but how should walk? Your walking should be 1 kilometer per hour. That is a constraint. Walking is a service. But constraint on service is called non-functional requirements. And you should work using Java language. Sorry, it cannot be, right? The product to be developed in Java, right? And this is a standard to be used. Every name should begin with, every name for the variable should begin with a small letter. That is a constraint. Every class should begin with SDMCET underscore, and S is capital. That's a constraint. These are not functions of a product. These are nothing but like a constraint in terms of, okay, could be timing, could be naming constraints, could be standards, could be platform requirement, right? Everything should be done, okay, in Oracle 12 version only. Got it? Everything should be done in JDK, Java, like this, right? So these are the functional and non-functional requirements. We talk about that, right? So functional requirement speaks about what system will do. Non-functional requirement probably will tell, okay, how do they do, okay, where they are housed, right? What compliance it provides to any standards, procedures, whatever it is, right? So they are called functional and non-functional requirements. Fine, very interesting, right? So non-function requirements, list and explain the different types of non-functional requirement. List and explain with example the various non-functional requirement classification. Ashish. List and explain with example. List and explain with example the various classifications of non-functional requirements. Look, very beautiful classification given in your textbook, right? See that, right? See, one is product requirement. Under that, about the efficiency, I told you that performance requirement, it should give a response within 3 seconds, right? It should consume, right, maximum of this much of memory at its peak when workload is so and so. It should not take more than this much of, okay, your memory, right? Right. Okay, that's about usability requirements. That it should have a background blue color. It should have a submit button at the bottom and the top. And whenever you submit, right, whenever you make an attempt to delete, it should confirm it. You are deleting this particular document. Are you sure about that? These are all become usability. How user wanted to use this. You have got a few assignments on that. Okay, railway reservation system user interface, redesigning that one and all. You have to look into that. Right. Now, reliability requirements, portability requirements. Okay, when I put it from Ubuntu version this to Fedora, it should run portability. Got it. Right. Now look at that organizational requirement, delivery requirements. It should be, okay, module 1 to be delivered on October 1st, module 2 on November 1st. Okay, like this. Right. Then implementation requirement. It should be implemented. Backend should be on Oracle 12G only. Right? All other front end using so and so framework. Right? Then computation, everything, entire platform is, okay, Java, okay, environment. Standards. Right? Software standards, hardware standards. Right? So many things. Right? External requirements, interoperability. It should, okay, it should able to read, okay, they take a data input from Excel sheet, right? It should produce, okay, in a particular format so that the vendor, the particular product already installed, it can read from that. The compatibility of data exchange, ethical requirements. This is the most important thing. As a human being, we should learn. One should not leak the design. One should not leak requirements. One should not leak what is a new product we are doing it in a market. And if you do that one, right, you'll be penalized so and so. Probably you are seen in the international market, okay, the kind of dispute the court has resolved, particularly in the USA, between the government, between the, right, many software developing, okay, industries and all. You might have seen it. Let's not quote all those things here. Legislative requirement, law, law of the land. Law of the land says that one so and so. So you might have given the contract to the people from, okay, who are company who is there in America, but when they produce certain things deploy in India, it should comply with all legislative requirements. You need to state that. Privacy requirements, right? So look at the WhatsApp, whatever that you upload, right? What kind of privacy requirement they have, right? Will they, okay, breach that? There are many times people breach, even though they call professionals, right? Unfortunately, you are seeing it in the market. Safety requirements, flight, I gave an example, right? So this is the big classification. List and explain with example the various non-functional requirements. Probably you can imagine this question ranging from 5 marks to 20 marks. The more and more example you give it, and one example for each one of this itself will take around 4 to 5 lines. A proper example. For that, you have to read multiple books. Please understand all these things. Not limiting yourself to what happens in the classroom. Self-learning. See the internet. Okay, pick one thing. Ethical requirements of software. Okay, a specification report. Type it and see that what all things you get it. So that's how you can widen your knowledge and prepare for the placement. Don't depend only on classroom and syllabus, right? You should have an extra mileage. Please understand that. Got it? And if anybody, okay, go extra, okay, beyond something and study and prepare and wanted to give a seminar on that, we welcome. We appropriately reward that work in your city. Anybody is open. Any related things about software engineering, covered, not covered, okay, next chapter or anything, you can book in advance that I want to give a seminar. We welcome, okay, I welcome you all people for this. That is a true learning. Got it? So when you look at the IEEE, it has got its own format, right? Section 1 introduction, section 2 overall description, then specific requirements, then detailed requirements, functional, non-functional, external interface, performance requirement, design constraint, attributes, other requirements. These are the different heading. We are given one assignment on that, right? Study the IEEE format for requirement, software requirement specification, and accordingly you prepare your fifth and sixth semester project, mini project, right? Let's see. And I'll give an example also. Probably in the next class, we'll go through the case studies, right? Case studies on that. We'll go through the detailed, okay, sample example for all these things. Wait for that. Now, when you look at the requirement analysis so far, whatever I have said, when you look at it and put it in the form of a proper flow, okay, you will see interesting things. There's a process entry. You understand the domain. So for that, you need to analyze. You need to interact with the end user, clients and all. Right? Understood. Right? Then you collect requirements. You classify, okay, whether it is a functional, non-functional, otherwise whatever that is there. If any conflict is there, try to resolve and try to prioritize that, which is the first priority, second priority, and you validate requirements with the end user saying that is it okay or not. And you have a loops everywhere. You have a loop. Domain understanding. Now look at that. For loop, I take the ink color, I change it to blue color, right? See here. Domain understanding, I develop it. I do requirement collection. Then again, I go back here. Is my domain understanding is complete? I do interact, right? There is local, okay, back and forth movement between the different stages of requirement analysis process. And okay, as a overall, when you do it, you okay validate it, and if not, you can come back again and redo that, because this is a baseline document. That is the most important thing, right? When you validate this, it goes as a requirement definition specification freezed one. and this is going to change again. Again, you may begin, because okay, nothing is static in this world. Hope you understand all these things. When you get into requirement analysis process, you have a requirement engineering process. Now look into this. Again, these are theoretical, right? But you need to understand this better, right? Look here. When you look at a problem statement or propose something, an idea, you get into the feasibility. You get into feasibility. There is a feasibility report. Every stage in requirement engineering, okay, produces a report. Then, right, you perform, right, requirement, okay, analysis. You have a system model. In next 5 minutes, okay, it's going to close. I'll complete this and get into. Then you have requirement specification, okay. Then you have requirement validation, okay, and you go back, right? So each one will produce requirement documents, user and system requirement, okay, this thing, system models and all. So it gets into like this. So it is a requirement engineering process, right? So we will try to, okay, start from this point. And I wanted Ashish to update our in-class question bank. This, right? Any question at this stage? You need not wait till end of my presentation to ask question. We'll
Excuse me,
continue.
sir.
Please.
So when there is a collection of requirement with the clients, sometimes there will be misconception about the concepts which we want to design. At
Yeah,
that time, whose mistake is that really? Is that a client's or analyst mistake?
right. Please look into. That's why when you prepare an intermediate document or finalize a document, okay, both of you put a signature and agree with that. Okay, this is what I wanted and this is what you understood, right? And afterwards, whenever there is a change, a customer may say that one, though we have agreed, this is how it should have been. All right, it is not a mistake. We say, okay, people, customers, okay, have understood now. If it's a minor, you adjust, accommodate, and keep moving. If it's a major, okay, you will charge for them, and that's how, okay, the business negotiation gets into, right? Are you getting this? That's why you have software requirement specification report will act like an agreement. Are you getting it? Similar to when you give a contract of building your house, you agree upon, on your plan, right? Any minor change your builder will do. Major change you have to pay for that. Who is wrong? A customer, owner of the house will say, I didn't tell you that one puja gra is required here. So please move. Because there is an agreement, agreed document is there. Earlier you said somewhere in a kitchen, you wanted it separately now. This is similar to that. Got it? People understand because both the sides are matured one. Right? Are you getting this? Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyhow, we'll stop here. It's going to get closed now. I will come back to come in the next class. Okay, we will start from the same point. Right? Thank you. Wait for that. I'll close. Stop sharing my screen. Wait. As many as 47 people have participated here. This is the low participation. Ashish and Arpita, right? CRs. Please interact with your all students and ensure that they join. Ensure that they all join. Right? Right. Shall I close? Shall I close the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All other interaction we will take in next class. Please don't wait till end. As and when you get something in the mind, just shoot at me. So thank you, and I will end the meeting. Ashish, you update all inline question bank, right? Thank you. Bye.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.